I figured the best way to explain this kind of stuff is to show it, right? So let's start with SQL. So here's your canvas. RVBBIT uses a kind of a reverse cutting board way of looking at SQL, kind of opposite of how most dashboard tools do it. Instead of starting in small chunks and going to the large, we start large and go small. So here's my editor panel with my data browser for different databases and whatnot. I'm going to go with this sample table here, and this is the table I want, so I'm just going to drag it out and put it on my canvas, and I get the whole table. I get, distinct. I can see what's going on here. But I can also drag out fields. So let's say I want class, and then I believe there's a season here somewhere. Let's say I'm going to drag season out and group by that. And then I want to get a total, so let's make a new block. Let's make a new block and then drag the table itself out and say, give me row count for this. And then I could even sum this up too, and obviously that should be the same because it's just an aggregation of an aggregation. And what's cool about this is that if I turn the lines on, look at the lineage, you can see that both these tables obviously are parent-child to each other because this is the main table. And if we look at the query of this row count, we can see that it's a subquery of this main table, right? So it's keeping lineage in that SQL kind of way, which is cool. If I were to take this table and again sum these rows, we could see that now it's a child of this. And then the lines don't need to be there. They're just really interesting for, finding out where things come from and where things are going sometimes. But it's just an interesting SQL thing that I don't often see in other tools, so I definitely wanted to add that. So, okay, we have some counts, we have some group bys, cool. I want to do a quick filter here. So let's see. I'm going to do class. So let me drag another class group by over here. Let's make it a little more tasteful. And since this is going to be filtering, and if I open the lines again, we can see that it's a child, right? So if I'm going to be filtering the parent by this, it's going to filter itself. So we can't have that. So I'm going to promote this to its own thing. So now if I turn on the lines, you can see it's not connected because it's materialized the parent query, and it's its own daddy now. All right. So obviously, it's a reactive platform, so you can click on anything, right? And clicking on fields and rows is very, very helpful in making actions. So as I click on things, we can see in the parameters box here, it's just changing a parameter. And what do you do with the parameter? Well, anything you want, really. If I want to drag it over here as a text box, cool. If I want to drag it to the parent and say class, since they both have the same field name, it should be pretty easy, class. And I can say where it doesn't equal, where it equals, highlight, heat map. I'm going to say where class equals class. So now we have kind of a cascading filter on the parent to the child. This doesn't get affected because it got promoted, and everything flows down that way. So now I can make all kinds of other, offshoots of these tables, visualizations and all kinds of other things, and they're still all controlled by this filter because they're all downstream of this. And this is the kind of really simple stuff that I wanted to make easy to get done, because you see a lot of dashboards and a lot of them are just like, I'm just trying to figure something out, right? I'm just looking through data, I'm just trying to find out what's going on, and how can we make that easy, and how can we make it look really cool, and then how can we make it fast, right? Super important. So next video I'm going to jump into visualization, but for SQL stuff, this is a pretty good starter. So I'll see you in a second.